It is 6 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 8th day of the 8th month, August. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital with studios at 88 to 90 Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain, Trinidad, planet Earth. Yep. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course, full casting this morning. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Raghubar Singh. We got Ruben in the mix. You just heard from Paul with our news brief. Of course, we have major news coming up at 7 o'clock with AV. And of course, my name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock. All right. Of course, let's get into the WT, straight into it. Let's see what's happening with the T for traffic. Starting out in San Fernando, I got nothing for you. Churchill Roosevelt Highway on the east-west corridor, I got nothing. I got no traffic for you. All right. It is 26 degrees at Piarco International Airport. It is 27 degrees at Crown Point in Tobago. And of course, yesterday registered the hottest day of the year. I'll give you the stats on that right now. Piarco registered 33.4 and Crown Point registered 32.4. Confirmed Trinidad and Tobago records its hottest day of the year. Didn't seem so with a little rain. I think Sunday was maybe hotter. But what the Met Office is going to say the weather for today, I'll tell you right now. Generally sunny despite intervals of cloudiness and showers over a few areas, especially from late morning. There's a medium 40 to 60% chance of isolated thunderstorm activity favoring the western half of Trinidad. This evening will be generally fair despite the isolated shower. All right. Checking temps across our listenership, see what's going on there. Toronto, you're cloudy and 18. Miami, 29. The folks in Florida are going to have a scorcher today. The heat index is up 29 already. Wow. Let's see. What else? Orlando, you're 27. New York, mostly cloudy and 22. Atlanta, 22 and partly cloudy. London, a little drizzle and 16. Tampa, you're 28 and clear. Mostly clear in Washington, D.C. All right, so that's some temps. Of course, let's see who sent us hellos on YouTube. A lot of folks just joined in. Ms. Maloney, good morning. Kazim Mohammed. Eastland Alexander from London. Good morning to East Lynn. Ingrid Adams out in Tucson, Arizona. And Ray Ray out in scorching West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you. Carol Guevara, Oliver Man Warren, good morning to you as well. Do I have any more? I did a reset, so I probably missed some of you guys. Mrs. R just joined us. H.S. Wilson, good morning. Paul Richards, good morning.
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone. Good Tuesday morning to you.
You should see your face here, eyes. Why is it still on mute?
I was trying to unmute the
Yeah, that's what I thought.
device.
That's what I thought. Anyway, morning to you. Hope all is
Morning,
well.
Mr.
Dorian Pierre, good morning to you as well. Just watching us on YouTube. And of course, our guest coming up next hour will be Kadijah Ameen. All right, Minister Kadijah Ameen will be our guest coming up after 7 o'clock.
Did you say Minister Kadijah Ameen?
Did I? I think I did, you know.
At least you didn't deny it this morning.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I probably did. You know what? I'm rewinding it in my brain, and I did say minister. So Kadijah Ameen is going to be on our show this morning.
MP Kadijah Ameen. She's MP for Senior Justin. I think
And
she's a deputy political leader of the United National Congress.
And she is indeed.
I've always liked her growth, her political growth trajectory. I knew Kadijah when she was, even before she was chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, and she was a really good chairman of that corporation. Always available, working late hours. I remember having to go and wait for an interview I was doing with her. And she was seeing people all till 9:30, 10 in the night. I had to wait, and I saw her about just before 9 o'clock, and there were people waiting, and she was going to see every one of them before she left for the day. And I just always admired her work ethic. So and she then was in the Senate, and then she's now MP for St. Augustine's, always on the ground working with the constituents. I think she's a good MP.
Yeah, I haven't seen her walking around. In fact, I
Always
have not
remains
seen.
a very grounded person.
Yeah, the UNC in the QRAP area. But tomorrow, our guest on the Power Breakfast Show would be the Minister of Finance, Colin Imbert. Thursday, political leader of the NTA, Gary Griffith. And on Friday, we do have the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley.
Hey, look how you say that with pride, eh? Look how you say all that with pride. You're hearing the puff in your voice.
The puff. The puff.
See what a little work, you see what a little work does?
Of course, on Monday, we won't be talking politics, period.
No, we won't.
None.
We're talking about flowers and agriculture and horticulture.
Yes. And Paul sent us a message. We will talk about the birds and the bees on Monday.
We talk about we give reports as to how voting is going in terms of how smooth the processes are, but you really can't. You're not allowed to talk about
no
political activity because the Representation of the People Act prohibits what may be considered canvassing on election. It has to cease at midnight on Sunday.
Yeah, which is Saturday into Sunday, folks. So
but I don't know how to do that in today's environment of online, because people are still online, what kind of craziness.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, we've been asking that question of the EBC for the last 2 elections, and we haven't gotten, to me, a satisfactory answer. Because they're supposed to be monitoring to make sure people are not canvassing and campaigning. But I guess they're busy on the day. Making sure that people are out voting and the systems are in place, and there are no issues at polling stations and polling divisions and stuff like that. And returning officers give them reports regularly.
Yeah. Good morning to all the polling officers that will be working on Monday. Yesterday they have to get into their polling station at 4 a.m.
Some of them are working already.
Yeah. But tomorrow they go from 4 a.m. till they finish count the ballots, whatever time that is.
So there's the areas that have special electors who are eligible to vote from yesterday to the 13th are already working, because they have people who will be working on that day who also have a franchise to vote. So they are given special opportunity to vote this week as special electors. So congratulations to Nicholas Paul. Got silver in Scotland at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome in Scotland. He will line up in Heat 2 next in the men's Karen event on Tuesday with Kwesi Brown in Heat 4. So we're looking at more medals in the UCI World Cycling Championships. So Nicholas Paul did as well. And a young Nikolai did as well in the swimming yesterday. So we're doing well in sport. I wish people go out and support the Commonwealth Games. When is it coming to an end, the Commonwealth Games?
I have no idea.
I want to try to go out there today and sit and watch some events and support the young people later on this afternoon.
Of course, the T20 cricket is on again today. West Indies versus India. That game will start at 10:30, and it's in Guyana before they head out to a very warm Florida for the last 2 T20s. Of course, the West Indies are up. Today's the third T20, I should say. And we're up 2-0 against India.
You're excited I am by that information.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about West Indies.
I've never been a cricket fan, so
yeah. I've always been a cricket fan. Growing up, went to Dos Santos stand. We had member tickets there, which I thought was the best standout. Get a good view. Nice, cool on a morning of cricket. And, it's just the other day I was reading something somewhere. Remember games used to start like 10:05 in the morning?
I wouldn't know.
Time. Yeah. Games used to start like 10:05. And that was because they can carry the BBC News and follow that with cricket. For those that did not know. When I read that last week, I said, I never knew that. I never even put any thought into it. I said, okay, cool. Good morning, Charmaine from Arima. Good morning to you. Tapish Sukram, good morning. Anthony Tinto. Rena Budu Jennings, good morning to you as well.
Did you see a lot of hullabaloo on the weekend? About this social media site. People were talking about it on TikTok, but apparently it is on Instagram, called Pretty Pipers. I don't know. These young people get some ideas in their head. So I saw this trending on the weekend. This site called
Pretty
people
Pipers.
talking about this site called Pretty Pipers. Only to find out it is a site which apparently was done by a child, a young girl. And guess what the site is about?
Pretty Pipers. Pretty girls, pipers, meaning what it is.
Keep in mind it's about children, so this young girl
is a site for kids with porn and naked pictures and stuff.
Putting up pictures of young girls who are supposed to be in relationships and who are supposed to be having sex and doing this and that, and putting their pictures and nude pictures also of them. So the police have now stepped in and telling parents to be careful with their children's online activity because of this site. Because the only and insulting people's young, particularly girl children, and telling them that they were this man and that man, really disgusting stuff. Posting some pictures of the minors and some young adults also in very compromising and sensitive forms and positions. And it's like I don't know what they get into, but my concern is that parents really need to talk to their children. The only way they could get naked pictures of your child is if your child is sending naked pictures to other people. So it's like, but I mean, imagine, and it is highly suspected it's a child who started this site as revenge over people that she didn't like and she thought was doing X and Y and wanted to put them out there. Could you imagine? To become this viral thing now, people have gone by the thousands and added the Instagram page. I hope somebody has written to Instagram and Zuckerberg and they just shut down that page because it is clearly in breach of the law in several different countries because they've posted pictures of minors in nude or semi-nude conditions. So the page could, I'm surprised that Instagram didn't pick it up before and just shut it down. Because the site actually, from what I heard about it, I didn't even go and look. I just said, that is not something you want to be clicking on.
No.
But it's really, it's such a disturbing development. It's like, wow, that is all they could find to do. Yeah, but people need to be careful. But kids these days, they don't care. They have a different sociology to nudeness, and like nudes is nothing to them now. Like it's like how you going send a nude. You understand?
Yeah, it's a whole
very
it's a whole different ball game.
It's like I guess my age and people around my age have a different mindset to that. But kids, teenagers these days is like no big deal. But they don't realize it will come back to haunt you at some point.
Which I don't understand. There was this YouTuber, his name is Kai Sinat, and he decided to do a giveaway at Union Square, and hundreds of people turned up. Hundreds. And would you believe that he made $250,000?
How? Just by sale?
No. He made $250,000 live streaming him sleeping.
What?
put up a camera and he goes to bed and he live streamed that, and
You're wasting time.
but he made money.
You're wasting time, Steve.
I don't know. It's a different ball game now, man.
You're wasting time. You're wasting time.
It was like, wow.
You're clearly, because you sleep, and you have your paraphernalia to help you sleep. So you should be putting up that and making some money, but no.
You know,
What's wrong to you, as they say?
I sleeping on myself here.
You're sleeping on the money.
I'm gonna live stream me sleeping tonight.
By the way, speaking of money, no one won the $15 million on Saturday.
No, it's 16 million now.
15 million now. Wow. Well, I didn't see Richard log on yet. I thought Richard won the lottery on the weekend. Hey, morning, Ragabas Singh.
Oh, hi, guys. And
Morning,
good morning to our listeners, wherever you are.
Morning. Let me
I
just
say
say
won the
this.
15 million.
On this Tuesday morning, I was busy with my play this weekend, sir.
Of course. But let me just say this. The lottery in the US is $1.5 billion. Nobody has won since April.
You wouldn't see me.
If you decide to take a payout, it'll be less than 800 million.
If I win that 15 million here or that US lotto, you will just see a plane ticket to somewhere playing in London.
No. You'll just call. All right, next jets.
I am not calling.
I need a jet.
No, I ain't doing that. I'll just book each of you a ticket to a destination, and you all will know, with nobody name on it, and it'll be all good, and you all will know, and you won't see me again, so you'll miss me.
I'll take a ticket.
I will just will get a ticket to Africa, which will get a ticket to the UK, Steve will get a ticket to Miami, and you all wouldn't see me again, so you will know he gone, and you can't find me at all.
Bali is on my
morning, Wendell.
Morning, Wendell.
Morning, gentlemen. I got up early and I looked. I said, "But I ain't seen no invite." And then so I just dozed back off, and then I looked. I saw it came in just before 6, and I said,
"A minute before 6." Yeah, Paul overslept.
I said, Paul, like he had a celebrating a birthday, an extended birthday.
Still hungover.
It's not that true. So when you're setting up the program, I tried to be night before, but sometimes I just forget to send the emails. Because I said it when I tell myself, did I send the emails? When I see it, but to be fair to Steve, if Steve doesn't log on at 5 or 7 minutes to 6 o'clock, I know I didn't send it.
Yeah, I sat down here, twiddling my thumbs.
Steve ain't log on yet.
I say maybe they get instructions that I'm not to be on when the UNC are being interviewed.
Oh, Lord.
I went all there, you know. But I have to take in my vehicle to the dealer today. So I will either log off early or come back on my phone when I get there. I don't know. I'm driving down the road the other day and I'm seeing this mark in front of my face. And I'm saying, what is that? And so I put on my windshield wiper to wipe it away. I'm thinking it's something that's just on the windscreen. And it's not going anywhere. So then I peered closer. I said, but wait, there's a crack.
You have a crack in the windshield?
I said, where the hell did that come from? So I went down to St. James, and because over the weekend I didn't really use the vehicle. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, yeah, that is a crack. And I'm seeing 3 dots, like if 3 stones hit it.
Pebbles.
And I said,
yeah,
my God. When I looked at it, when I checked out the place that normally repairs things, they said that can't repair, you had to change that.
You had to change it.
So I had to immediately call the insurance and they said they'll cover it, and then I
That's
called
a good thing. Insurance has windscreen repair now, so
yeah. Those stones are terrible. I mean, and my car, I was on the left lane. This is like pre-pandemic. On the left lane on the Beetham, and a stone flew up from the truck in front of me, probably picked it up on the side road by the Labas, and it hit the bonnet, and it missed the windshield and hit the top of the car. But when it did that, it chipped the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know when and where
anymore.
So I couldn't even include that in my report. I say, I just saw it. It just, I don't know where it happened or when.
Before your lockdown, we were talking about this site. I hope it's been shut down, or this page, I should say, called Pretty Pipers, which is supposed. It seemingly has been organized or initiated by a child, a young girl, and it puts up pictures of young girls and young women telling what they believe to be stories about their sexual activity. So the police have warned parents. Yeah, underage girls.
Oh.
Police have warned the people about it and warned parents to check their children's online activity. I don't know. These children get up to some things and extortion in some cases, telling people, if you don't send me this and that, I'll put up your picture too and all that. I don't know why they take pictures in the first place. Anyway, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has said he was not in breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act, as he did declare the purchase of his townhouse at Sherman Development in Vigo. Remember, yesterday's Express said, news said that the Integrity Commission had found he was in breach but had not continued the investigation because no laws were broken. Well, the Prime Minister has taken umbrage to that and said he did disclose and that the information was erroneous.
Okay.
Well, remember, I did speak about that headline yesterday and why they would have gone with that in that direction after a report came out that he was cleared of whatever. So I didn't understand the purpose behind the headline yesterday. I did speak about it, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. But the big story that making the wrongs, guys, is this Alabama brawl. I don't know if you all have been looking at it.
Of course,
I saw that.
I think I was
not scared.
I think
Alabama or New York?
I think when
Alabama.
It's Montgomery, Alabama. That Riverboat brawl. I think I actually happened to be on Instagram or one of them when
it was all over. It was TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, it was all over.
When that video was first uploaded. And I think it was YLL or something. I think it was before it started to zoom. Because somebody uploaded it and I was started to watch this video. I must have watched that video about 10 times because I had to see it from every different angle. So at every different angle, I had to concentrate and say, okay, I'm watching this part of the screen now to see what happened here. I'm watching this part of the screen just to follow the entire story. It was such a wonderful video in the sense of the real life happenings of this fight and the commentator in the original one, because you have subsequent ones where didn't give you the original, but the original commentator, which was this woman, who was giving the commentary. She was
the young man who swam across the river.
She was brilliant, but she talked about him too. She gave the commentary for that.
Yeah,
the commentary, what was going on the dock.
Is this the brawl it had where somebody had passed it? No,
I'll try to get the video because Steve is telling us.
Yeah, the only brawl I know is that in a riverboat is that a boat parked up at this pier, and he was not supposed to park there. Yeah, and he went and moved the boat. Was that one?
Yeah, they didn't want to move.
And a whole set of people came, and a woman came from nowhere, and police arrested everybody.
Well, first, the security guard who came to tell them move the boat, he was attacked by one man, and then a set of other white guys attacked him, and then black people just appeared from just about anywhere, including one of them who swam across the river. Swam across the river, kick off his shoes. He jumped off the boat, swam, kick off his shoes, and But you know what is making? The meme of the day now is the folding chair.
And the fellow was swinging.
Yeah.
What was swinging that chair? That's the only one. I see all kind of memes on that. I see an entire reenactment with white and black people.
I saw that too.
By a pool.
Yeah, I shared that. I shared that also.
And I see that one. I see all sorts of people exercising. I see people talking about it. I see ones with music added to it. all sorts of commentary. They do Avengers. They do all sorts of things. They do all sorts of things.
Yeah, and they actually found a movie. They actually found a movie with Richard Pryor when he went to bail out 125 people from a jail in Alabama. That movie resurfaced too.
Yeah.
And when he went into the station, he said he came to bail out the 125 people. And the white policemen laughing at him. They said, just tell him where's the figure and he will leave. They said $7,500. He take out 75 and drop it to him. Okay, that's it. Let's go.
Wow.
They all looked in shock. But I don't know what movie that was from with Richard Pryor. But it's an actual movie that it happened in.
Okay. Good morning, Winston Jones, Leonard Naipaul in North Carolina. Good morning. Marcia Rock, Alan Kamabat. Good morning. Mo Gaines out in Aruka. Good morning. Good morning.
That white woman in that video, that was real fighting.
But three of them. The one in the blue dress.
Yeah, she got some good lash too, huh?
Yeah, she real fight.
And after she got that good lash, she went back in the fight,
Yes. Yes, she real fight. I have to tell you that.
I've seen it here. Yes.
I don't know if you also saw there's another video from another angle with a lot of black women too getting involved in the fight, It was a full-scale brawl,
You mean that was further down by the front?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a whole-scale brawl,
That was, and all because somebody didn't want to move the boat.
Yeah.
That's all. The person parked in the wrong spot.
All because of that. And we're ignorant about it.
Yes. They said too that port was an old slave auction block too.
Yeah, well, that's what they said too.
Yeah, that's the history of that port. Oh dear.
Neil Melville, good morning. The movie was Harlem Nights.
Oh, with Richard Pryor?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yes,
thanks for that.
Yeah. And then there's another, we were talking about kids earlier on, and there's another story that's disturbing in where a 1-year-old child, baby boy, was brutally beaten. Beaten out in Valencia. All right, this is the video in Alabama.
Yeah, take off the volume.
Yeah, take off the volume. Yeah, you had to move your boat there, pal. What the heck?
The volume is good for it too.
Yeah, for all those on YouTube, we are playing it, the Alabama Brawl.
Without the volume. Without
the volume is half of it.
Where all these people come from? I didn't see all of this. What that lady doing there?
That lady will fight.
Oops, somebody falling in water. Wow.
It ended up being a one race against the other race thing after a while, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tell you, black people appeared from every single
There's the guy swimming across the channel that freaked me out.
And security guard is just doing his job, Wow.
And then they came in their numbers.
In their numbers.
Yeah, I'll watch this video
and then they came in their numbers. And it was a horse of a different color when they came in their numbers.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
They show a guy this morning, all black and blue. He said, boy, that man could throw a punch. He had cotton stick all up in his nose hole.
Another big story this morning back at home is the Food and Drug Administration confiscated several drugs across 40 pharmacies across TNT. The value of which is $0.5 million. Apparently, many of the drugs were outdated. And the drugs included Emergen vitamin C drink, which was popular during the COVID-19 pandemic, and several other drugs. The former pharmacy board, Wazir Hussein, revealed the crackdown was discussed at a special meeting of the board at Mount Up on Sunday. He said while the Food and Drug Division had the authority to perform surveillance and seizures, he contended the confiscation was unjust to pharmacy owners. Why?
If it expired, why is it unjust?
He said they were never given a list of the unregistered drugs, which may have been in contravention. If it's not on a list,
unregistered or expired drugs?
Well, he said unregistered. The article says unregistered.
I think it's a mix of expired and probably
unregistered.
But the way it came across the news last night was that it was unregistered in terms of drugs that they weren't allowed to sell. That was the sense I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a list of clear drugs because they can't have a substantive unregistered drugs list because it will be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a list of drugs they're allowed to sell. So if the drugs are unregistered, why are you selling them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not so sure.
Taking a chance to make
that was the Ministry of Health's narrative, and because I live in Trinidad and Tobago, I would like to hear both. But the Ministry of Health's narrative was along a certain line, and the news last night didn't really have the pharmacist's narrative. They just gave it as a news item. They didn't really go into detail of it. So I was curious, so what does the pharmacy board say, and what are pharmacists saying with regard to it? Because it was 40 pharmacies. So obviously, to me, there had to be some sort of something going on. How could 40 pharmacies be in blatant breach? Is it so unregulated?
Could be.
Not 2 or 3,
yeah.
40. So I found that number astonishing.
Remember, there's always been an issue with. Is he the former head of the pharmacy board now? Shoot your foot.
I think he is the former head.
Hello.
What?
What did he just say? Call him, man?
I didn't call no name. I said shoot your foot.
I think he's the former head. I'm not sure.
He's also
Dr.
former.
Rahman. We're talking about Dr. Rahman. Aziz Rahman is Aziz Rahman?
Andrew
Rahman. Oh, Aziz is the brother. I know the brother well.
Yeah, I think he's former now.
I think so.
Former. And he took them to court because of how
I think they removed them in an extraordinary meeting or something or the other.
Yeah, I think he took them to court.
But clearly, and Richard is right. If 40 pharmacies have an issue, it's more a regulation issue than anything else.
I was curious because of the number of pharmacies.
It means that the oversight is not there. Because if there are 40 pharmacies.
Yeah, but 40 pharmacies in comparison to how many in all, that might be a drop in the bucket in terms of the amount of pharmacies.
But think of how much damage 40 pharmacies can do if they're selling unregulated or unregistered drugs. So it might seem a drop in the bucket. But 40 is a lot in terms of how much damage can be done if the drugs are unregistered or unregulated.
Agreed.
So there's some kind of oversight shortcoming by the Ministry of Health, clearly, and the Food and Drug Division.
Let's get Andrew, Mr. Hammond on the phone now.
Is he still applicable?
But if he's not
if he's not the head.
Yeah, but he's a pharmacy owner, not so?
Well, with a gross of 5.
Well, he may know about what's going on. It may have
the pharmacy board.
I don't know.
That's the point.
Just now.
I think there's a new head or interim head that we'll have to find out who it is.
Richard just called a name.
No, I didn't call any name.
Wazir Khan or something so?
No, they said he is the article says that that person, Wazir Hussain, is a former pharmacy board president. So he's also former.
Oh, okay.
You understand? But there's some issue going on there that pharmacy will always in confusion, I find. Always.
Well, Steve, message Dr. Rahman and find out who we can talk to now. I'm sure
why didn't he message the Minister of Health to find out who he could talk to? Because he will know definitively.
We could do that too. As a matter of fact, we could speak with the Minister.
We can speak to the Minister of Health. To me, that would be the most appropriate person to speak to. And if we get a name for the present pharmacy board head.
Yeah, it's nice to get it from the pharmacy perspective too. Because we know what the Ministry of Health's perspective is already.
Yeah.
So what is unclear is the pharmacy's response to what the Ministry of Health would have spearheaded yesterday. Anything versus
Let me
Steve
jump
Taylor.
into the newspapers. Do any of you have newspapers?
No,
No,
I
no,
don't
I
have.
I
I don't
don't.
have today.
All right,
Anything
then. So
versus
between
Steve
you always think of the question today. It is Tuesday, the 8th of August, at just at 7:05 this morning, 7:10, sorry, we have Kadijah Ameen on, talking about local government. I think she's the shadow local government for the opposition, so she should have a great perspective. Let's start with the Guardian online for today. Ministry seizes expired, unregistered drugs at 40 businesses. Cops have no leads in businesswoman's murder. Stray bullet hits boy on way to church. Those stories depress me, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
very
you
difficult to
believe
just read them and go past them. I mean,
anyway.
wow. Those are very,
You
that's a,
believe there was a vehicle number and all that.
Shiva's journey of resilience and artistic inspiration. PM against slams camera over gun talk. Young upset by social media clip showing gun at PM's heart. What else is happening in the Guardian online? Slow start to special voting for local government polls. PM hits opposition for seeking to reopen integrity probe. Ministry seizes expired and registered drugs at 40 businesses. Neighbors demand businesswoman's killers be held. PM Rowley defends healthcare system. I think they opened the new Ministry of Health administrative building yesterday around the Savannah.
Oh, they did?
So let's,
Okay.
Yes, it was open yesterday.
So let's move now to the Newsday. Political analyst, Labour influence on election week. UWI Children's Authority boost collaboration. Hussein public must note Integrity Commission's position. Cop serious crime in Tobago down by 20%. Claxton Bay man killed in crash. And power outages disrupt businesses in Port of Spain. Paul rides to second place in World Championships, historic silver. And also International Pan Day is being celebrated at Woodford Square soon. I see
World
the
Steam Pan Day.
World Steel Pan Day soon.
Which is on Friday.
Yeah,
That's
11,
something
August 11th.
It looks like they're putting on a show, which is very great.
Yes.
Let's move to the Express Online now. I'm not in breach. Prime Minister Rowley says yesterday he was not in breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act since he did declare the purchase of his townhouse at Chevron Development. Paul takes silver. IC chairman, investigators independent and impartial. In a letter to the lead opposition MP Saddam Hussein, dated June 23rd, 2023, the Integrity Commission indicated that Rowley did omit to disclose the purchase of the townhouse. So we can't some sides of the story now.
Well, why would the Integrity Commission be writing an MP about another?
Because the MP is the person who raised the issue, I think, 2 years ago.
Right, but it's kind of very unusual for the Integrity Commission to send correspondence to an MP, you know.
But if the MP is making certain allegations or assertions, the Integrity Commission has to respond.
No, they don't respond to somebody else. They respond to the person who under investigation or whatever. They don't respond to somebody else. That's not how I know it happens. I'd be very surprised if the Integrity Commission writes to MP Saddam Hussein about something about Dr. Rowley. I'd be very surprised if that actually happened. I mean, that's very unusual. That's like Dr. Rowley asking about something about Jack Warner and they're writing back Dr. Rowley. I don't know that happens.
I don't know. I suppose if the news has it right, and if they wrote back, that's what it is.
For Dr. Rowley to now say that he did declare, that's pretty easy for him to prove also.
Well, the Integrity Commission is the depository, so they would be the ones that will have to articulate what
and
they would.
Which is why I found it strange when the article came out yesterday, because I know that Dr. Rowley had already read at a previous occasion that the letter written to him from the Integrity Commission that this thing is no longer engaging their attention.
But I don't know if the poll is somewhere inside there. You finished with the newspapers, right, Paul?
Am I? I don't know.
I'm asking.
No.
I don't know. I don't know if I finished.
Well, yes or no is a straight answer.
But the way you jump in, I thought I finished, so I'm done. Because you interrupt the whole thing, so I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
I raised an issue. Those
I'm done.
this morning.
I'm done. Finish it. Done.
Those started taught this morning, you know.
I'm done. I'm done.
It's too early, you know.
I'm done.
Oh God!
Paper's done. Paper's done. Continue. Paper's done.
But you know there was
as soon as you started turn over calendars, you started taught more.
There were several things yesterday, but I mean, you could put the integrity commission. That's a possible question. The other one was there were 3 incidents with roads yesterday. You had the one on Richmond Street.
That is such a fake video, eh?
So why is it fake?
Richard, come on, please. A pickup, and you see in the wheel 3/4 out of the hole, and all of a
sudden,
how is it fake?
Richard, that is a contrived thing. That's a skit to create drama. Come on.
I don't know why you were so sitting
and
about
look
that.
at where they were putting the wood in the back of the wheel. How the hell the vehicle could come out there?
Yeah, but
they were playing the fool.
The incident, no, to me, I didn't get the impression that people were playing the fool. You're keeping back a line of traffic.
Exactly. To create likes, shares, drama. That was a contrived situation. I'm sorry.
Didn't look so to me at all.
I drive pickup for years.
Right.
What you saw, anybody who drives a pickup or drives a vehicle for that matter could watch that and see that vehicle can come out of that hole.
Isn't the more responsible attitude to come from, not you, but from the mayor of Port of Spain, who's the only one in power, is let's fix that hole? And the ministry of, because the hole was existence, the hole wasn't made up.
Well, clearly a hole with water like that would probably be a WASA problem, not a pothole problem.
Yeah, but it's a well, I don't know who problem it is, but it's either WASA and the Ministry of Works, which is about 300 meters up the road from the hole. So somebody needs to take responsibility between the Port of Spain City Council, WASA, and the Ministry of Works.
And I'm not in disagreement with that, because there's a hole there. We see that there's a hole.
With roads, the second issue was in the Ottawa Mayaro, I think, where was it Ottawa? No, the Manzanilla Road, which was blocked, and taxi drivers were complaining, even though they said they didn't block the road. That was a big item on the news last night.
I didn't see that. I didn't get to see news.
And they blocked, and because they said they were pretty much quarreling with the Minister of Works, who said that they would have repaired the road within 3 months, and they said that has not occurred. And they said all the equipment had moved out that was starting to fix the road.
All right, gentlemen, we got to run into our morning poll. Kind of run out of time. Let me give you the results of our poll from yesterday. Our poll yesterday. Do you expect a change in the results of the local government elections from 3 years ago? That was our poll yesterday. The results are in pretty close, though. 56%. 56% said no.
Okay.
I don't. All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
Which one?
I have no poll. I was building up to something with the roads, but I was cut, so or they come up with something else.
Oh, good. And next one started toot.
No, I told you. I said, well, do the Integrity Commission thing if you all didn't do it yesterday.
How you want to frame that question, Paul?
Wasn't there an Integrity Commission? You all discussed the Integrity Commission issue yesterday, but you didn't poll it, did you?
Well, yeah. No, we didn't poll it. We polled the issue of local government. We were trying to stick with local government this week because of the significance of it now and our guests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we could ask the Integrity Commission. We have the Prime Minister on Friday, so we could ask him about that Integrity
ask him at that point.
Yeah.
I suppose it could be simply, do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he did disclose?
Yeah. We could ask that. Tuta.
He's the one that had to type up the poll.
What's the question?
Do you believe the Prime Minister's account with the Integrity Commission? Yes or no?
That he did disclose. But that's the Prime Minister's position, that he did disclose.
Yeah.
Do you believe the Prime Minister? Yes or no?
An ex-tutor started messaging me yesterday when he hear Philip say certain things. He said, I hope all you give me the same opportunity too. I say, you will get the same opportunity, sir. I don't have to tell you who that is,
I'm
right?
guessing who that could be.
I don't have to tell you who that is,
Anyway.
right?
So anyway, you heard our poll. Our poll this morning is concerning the Integrity Commission issue. Do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he did, in fact, disclose the townhouse? Do you believe the Prime Minister? Yes.
You gain total all that votes a type?
Do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he disclosed his townhouse in Tobago to the Integrity Commission? Because that's what he said he did.
That's very well put together, Paul Richards.
Yeah.
Doctor.
For Twitter.
222-8255 North Americans 866.
Well, the alternative to Twitter might be a little more unpalatable. So
Totara. The alternative is Totara.
222-TALK 222-8255 North
Radio
Americans.
friendly.
I can type fast. This is one thing I can type fast.
Can I give the numbers? 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what to do in terms of voting. And of course, people in other parts of the planet, 1-866
Brendel,
talk.
you see I spell Tobago?
Oh, shucks. I just glimpsed at it. Tobago.
I'm surprised, but why this thing to going back to spell commission wrong?
All right, so 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio. Of course, message us on YouTube and our mobile app and website at power102fm.com. Again, our morning poll, gentlemen.
Do you believe the PM's account that he disclosed his townhouse in Tobago to the Integrity Commission?
Yes or no? That's our poll this morning.
Yeah. Very simple and to the point. Basically, do you believe the Prime Minister? Yes or no?
Are we asking that in the context that the newspaper reports indicated that the Prime Minister did not disclose?
Yes.
And the Prime Minister has countered by saying he did disclose, and there's now this ambiguity in some people's minds.
So do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he disclosed his townhouse in Tobago to the Integrity Commission? That's our poll this morning.
Yep.
And you're right. If the Prime Minister produces a document that he did, the Integrity Commission has some questions to answer.
And not for the first time concerning Dr. Rowley, yeah?
Because why would the newspaper publish something like that if they didn't get information from the Integrity Commission itself? Or did the newspapers publish without getting direct information from the Integrity Commission? That's the other question.
Yep.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Carapo. GB says yes to the poll. Okay. Good morning, Mogaines. Neil Melville, good morning. Rena Budu Jennings, the great lockdown. Winston James says yes to the poll. Mogaines, yes to the poll. Rena Budu Jennings, yes. Carol Guevara, yes.
I get to who going to say no, who going to say yes.
Kaji Mohammed says yes. All right, Brian Marcel. Leonard Naipaul says yes and yes. Wayne B says good morning and yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Good morning, caller.
You didn't say anything.
Good morning, Orlando calling. My answer is yes, but I think you guys should include when did the Prime Minister disclose? Because he could have done it this year, and it's not applicable by law. So I think you should include when. Did he disclose on time or when required? But my answer is yes, I believe the Prime Minister is a person of integrity.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Orlando. Have a great day. H.S. Wilson says definitely no.
Well, the minute you acquire something, you have to disclose it every year after once you remain in public life. You just don't disclose it once and you're done. You have to disclose it every year. after.
Unless you dispose of it.
Unless you dispose of it. Once you still own it, you have to. And even a year after you dispose of it, you still have to say so.
Are you reading from the YouTube comments too, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just did. Stretch says yes. Moga says
a year after you leave public life, you still have to declare your
1 year after you leave public life, not all
yeah.
the time.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I think the Prime Minister disclosed it. Dr. Rowley don't miss so, you know.
All right. Thank you. All right, so 222-8255, toll-free North American, 866-525-1099. Winston Joe says, you're not seeing well. What? Okay. The Wayne B says yes. Mr. Wayne B. Ish out in Malik says yes. And says, yes, Wendell, they could have pushed the van out of the hole easily. All right.
Just standing by.
Yeah, I don't think it was a skit at all. Good morning, caller. Oops.
You believe that van stuck in that hole, Steve? You driving?
Yes. I know the hole. I know the hole. Yes, I believe it's stuck in the hole.
You believe so? And you believe that's how they were trying to get out with them? A crate.
Hello, I was not there, so.
You saw the videos?
Good morning.
The same videos I saw.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. I just got quick call. This guy disappeared on me before it goes off the air for me.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Who's this? Leonard?
Okay. Yes, he is.
Leonard Naipaul out in North or South? North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. All right. How do you vote on our poll?
I think you voted, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I didn't hear you.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Leonard. All the best there.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
Good
you.
man.
Thank you.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
No.
No. All righty. Thank you. All right. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans. 866-525-1099.
You know what I thought about yesterday? Well, we haven't heard from for a little while. Big guy. I haven't heard from him for a little while. Morning, big guy.
All right. Wayne out in Simcoe, Ontario says yes.
Yes. The government boots.
Moga says, I vote no. D says, hell no.
Remember that song?
Yeah. It's called
Gabby.
Gabby.
A big song in it.
Yeah.
That song overturned election, you know.
I was a preteen, so I can't remember it too well.
Yes.
I wasn't born yet. And in some good news, while we round up our poll for this morning, Marshall Montano was presented to the Keys to Kingston, Jamaica. That's some good news. All right. It's you got 30 seconds again to vote. Do you believe the PM's account that he disclosed his townhouse in Tobago to the Integrity Commission? That's our poll. You got 30 seconds and less to vote yes or no.
You were recording too, right, Wendell? I think
Yes, I am.
I may have missed a couple. I'm not sure.
You have 16-4?
I have 17-4.
All right. All I need to do is stick in one.
All right. Well, gentlemen, let's get into our major news.
And that comment went past Paul. What is he focused on?
When we come back, we'll have Kadijah Ameen online.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley maintains he was not in breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act. PEP says threats made to two of its local government election candidates. The TTPS urges parents to monitor their children's online activities, and Nicholas Paul gets silver medal for Trinidad and Tobago Monday's Elite Men's Sprint event. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sentil-Bab. Good morning. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has maintained that he was not in breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act since he did declare the purchase of his townhouse at Chauvin Development in Tobago to the Integrity Commission. Dr. Rowley took serious issue with an article published in yesterday's Express and said he has referred the article to his attorneys. In a post on his Facebook page yesterday afternoon, he also criticized the opposition for challenging the decision of the Integrity Commission to close its investigation into him over disclosure of the purchase of the townhouse. Voting started on Monday for persons who have previously applied to be treated as special electors for the 2023 local government elections. These persons are eligible to vote at special polling stations established by the Elections and Boundaries Commission at the Office of the Returning Officer in the Electoral District where they are registered. These polling stations will operate daily from August 7th to 13th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The EBC reminds the special electors the deadline for collection of their special elector envelopes is August 11th. Persons are required to present a valid form of national identification when collecting the envelope at the registrar's area office where they had provided on their application form. Political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Philip Alexander, claims on two occasions in San Juan and Belmont, persons in heavily tinted vehicles rolled down their windows and pointed what was later realized to be toy guns at candidates while campaigning for the local government election and acted out as if spraying them with bullets. He said the incident has left the candidates traumatized and disturbed. Speaking on the Power Breakfast program on Power 102 Digital on Monday, he said that he's asked the candidates for a report on the incident, which will be forwarded to the party's attorneys who will determine whether a police report should be made. Mr. Alexander said that he was informed of the development on Sunday.
It happened to Felicia Holder in Belmont, and it happened to Satish Ramsaran and Indira Singhawai in Sawa, and I asked them all to write up reports. So those two or three reports would go to our attorneys who would guide if yes, they should go straight to the police. Indira Singhawai is one of our candidates for St. James, and it made her come off the campaign trail for a couple of days. She was traumatized by it, and I understand because it was a very menacing act. What was told to me yesterday, I was very disturbed by, and I told Satish Ramsaran, a senior member of the party, he should have gotten to this to me sooner.
He cited the importance of politicians being responsible in their comments, as words spoken can have serious implications. Mr. Alexander also called for fairness among business operators in terms of being able to access loans from financial institutions.
I'd like to tell Trinidad and Tobago it's time for us to be a lot more responsible with our country. The average small businessman this morning, and I talking small businessman from a $5 million business down to the bakery on the corner, can't access credit, can't access developmental finance, can't access foreign exchange, but other businesses have foreign products literally falling off their shelves. They don't export, they don't manufacture. How do we justify that?
Parents are being urged to monitor their children's online activities and have open lines of communications with them about instances of cyberbullying so that the necessary and appropriate actions can be taken to protect them from such dangers. This in light of the emergence of several Instagram accounts this weekend, which have been posting explicit images of minors and women along with defamatory captions. Parents are therefore reminded to be vigilant about what their children post to social media, as seemingly innocent content can be used by cyberbullies and extortionists to target users. Victims of these nefarious online activities are being urged to seek the assistance of their parents and the police by making an official police report of the matter urgently to the Special Victims Department of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service at 612-2470, extensions 16057 or 16058, or by calling 999-555 800-TIPS or the nearest police station. Citizens are being reminded to continue partnering with the TTPS by bringing these matters to the attention of the police and also reporting the offending accounts of the social media company. The search for 9-year-old Omari Providence of Laventille, who went missing while bathing at Mission Beach, Toco, about 9 days ago, will be expanded. Head of the Hunters Search and Rescue Team, Captain Valence Rambarat, confirmed this during an interview with the media. Captain Rambarat said drones are being used in the search for Omari and valuable information concerning sea currents had been obtained from local fishermen.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they have extremely good drones and they can conduct longer flight missions. And so the search has extended further west. Fishermen folk in the area is that the drift is normally from east to west and that the currents most of the times run from east to west. It means, therefore, that where we were stopping at Lilith Bay in our search going west, we've now extended it as far west as Blanchishes.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Nicholas Paul made his mark on UCI World Cycling Championships, securing silver for Trinidad and Tobago on Monday in the elite men's sprint event. Paul sustained his only 2 losses in the competition at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome in Scotland in the best-of-3 final at the hands of 2-time Olympic gold medalist Harry Laverson, who picked up his 5th world sprint title. Still, the TNT cyclist adds a 2nd silver to his collection after picking up time trial silver at the 2021 World Championships. Earlier in the day, Paul made sure of precious medal by defeating Poland's Rudik Matthews in 2 semi-final rides to reach the decider. Paul will next line up in Heat 2 of the men's current event on Tuesday, with compatriot Kwesi Brown expected to start in Heat 4. Tennille Campbell, the lone female competitor from TNT, will contest the women's elite individual time trial event on Thursday and the women's elite road race on August 13th. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, generally sunny despite intervals of cloudiness and showers over a few areas, especially from late morning. There is a medium chance of isolated thunderstorm activity favoring the western half of Trinidad. Tonight will be generally fair despite isolated showers. Street or isolated flash flooding and gusty winds are possible in the event of heavy downpours and thunderstorms. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of a warm 33 degrees Celsius Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, it is 27 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 28 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley maintains he was not in breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act. PEP says threats were made to 2 of its local government election candidates. The TTPS urges parents to monitor their children's online activities. And Nicholas Paul gets silver medal for Trinidad and Tobago Monday elite men's sprint event. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you there, Paul. Thank you, AV, for our major news. Of course, you can join AV again at 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right. Before we give the results of our morning poll, let's see what's happening on the highways and the byways. San Fernando, you're south. You're lighter than usual. Just heading from Day Bay towards the highway. You've got some traffic there. Exiting San Fernando south onto Taruba Link Road, you've got some. And, of course, that M1 Tasker Road's a bit busy this morning. That's a dangerous road. Riverlet Road, heading towards Point Lisas in California and so on. You've got some traffic there. But the Solo is pretty much clear. Got some volume just approaching Freeport and Sugar Guanas. But that's about it. Churchill Roosevelt Highway, you've got some on Antigua Road. Trin City to UE. But after UE, it's smooth sailing until you get to about Swim Call as you head into Port of Spain. Eastern Main Road, lighter than usual as well. Approaching McCoy Road, just after by Mount Hope and the Queasy and Mover Junction, you've got some traffic there. All right. Let's continue. I got a couple more votes here. I got Wayne out in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada, saying yes. CJ from New York says yes. Launch Park says yes. Susie B. Haven't heard from you in a long time, Susie B. And that's a yes as well. Eastland Alexander says yes. Penny Lovell from Claxton Bay says no. Mrs. R says yes. And that's all the extra votes I've got.
I hope they're taking notes.
Yeah, I did try to scribble that down.
Radio.
So that took us to, well, our poll this morning. Do you believe the PM's account that he discloses townhouse in Tobago to the Integrity Commission? We had 29 people voting in the allotted time. Of the 29 people, 23 of you said yes, you do agree with the Prime Minister. Well, you not agree, you do believe the Prime Minister's account that he did disclose his townhouse. 6 of you said no, you do not believe his account. So 23-6, that's our poll results this morning in the allotted time. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through our programming. We give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday and midweek.
All right. And let's say good morning. Going out to MP Kadijah Ameen. Good morning to you. You're muted. I'm not hearing you. Is she muted?
Good morning. Good morning.
Ah, yes. There you are.
Morning, Kadijah.
I am here. Let me just raise my volume here.
You raise your volume, man. You go
right.
ahead.
I hear you know, you're good now.
Good morning. We get lipstick this morning, girl.
But of course, it had to match me the red, white, and black on my UNC jersey.
Yeah, we get lipstick this morning. Wow, what a thing.
We appreciate you being here because I know that you've been campaigning hard and coming in the wheels in the morning and stuff like that. So I know it's not easy getting up because you're going to go again after that all the way down. So thank you for being here.
Well, in fact, this last week we have some late nights and early mornings. So I've given that commitment to see it through. And so even when I don't get much sleep, when you hit the campaign trail, you get energy, eh? Yeah.
But you're accustomed walking because from my knowledge of you, you don't ever stop walking your constituency anyway. So
you don't ever stop, period.
I started during COVID because, we couldn't keep meetings and people wouldn't come into the office. So I started something called MP home visits, where I would literally walk from house to house and talk to people at their gates, hear their concerns and their complaints. And people talk differently to you one-on-one as opposed to in a meeting. So I have walked the entire St. Augustine constituency at least once in each area to visit some places more than once. And that is outside of the areas that had problems such as the flooding and so on, where we were constantly for several weeks. So my condition is good in terms of walking, but when you are out there as well, you're also exposed to the elements. You may be sweating and then a shower of rain come down and you get wet. You might be exposed to a lot of dust. You have Sahara dust. So you really have to pay attention to your nutrition and vitamins and your own personal condition, your physical condition. Yeah.
Well, I know you do your home visits. You have sent pictures outside my parents' home for me when you went there.
Yeah, well, once I visit and I reach by Miss Betty's house, I must send a selfie for Steve.
Yes.
But I've come to know so many of my constituents one-on-one, at personal level, know their parents, their children, so after
how was the campaign been going?
Let me just jump in, guys. Let me just say good morning, MP Ameen. Morning.
Good morning, Wendell.
I have to run away though, but I couldn't run
We're
away.
Going on campaign this early morning.
No. I have to take in my vehicle, unfortunately. I always do things on a Tuesday because I normally am not on radio on a Tuesday. So I always set up my appointments on Tuesday. But I made the exception today because I wanted to say hello and also to at least how I should put it. give advice to you because you're the expert in local government and that entire UNC government party.
I am one of the persons. We have several MPs who served as councillors who are very knowledgeable on local government.
Yeah, but you served long, you served well, you served hard, you were chairman of a corporation. Yes. Why aren't you taking the lead? Because the UNC's campaign has not really about being local government. And I'm saying, why aren't they using someone who has the knowledge about local government, who would have been through the rigors of local government, who can expose a vision for local government? Why aren't they using you?
Has Dr. Rowley allowed anybody in the PNM to lead his campaign? The political leader of the parties lead the campaigns. Even on the PNM platform, Dr. Rowley is the main speaker, the feature speaker.
But Dr.
Faris Alwari, who is the sitting minister of local government, doesn't have any experience in local government as a practitioner, even as yourself.
Well, he does, yeah.
He has never been a local government representative.
Faris Alwari served as an alderman in Port of Spain, you know.
Really? He doesn't show the experience in local government though. But in any case, you have more experience than he does. But my point is that the political leaders generally take the lead on any campaign, any election campaign, and it is the same in the PNM where Dr. Rowley is leading the campaign
But Mr. Amin, Dr. Rowley is talking local government. Look at what your leader is talking. Light it up, cock it back. Knock it.
That is not the only thing she has spoken about. That is not the only thing. She has also spoken extensively. And let me tell you, Kamla Prasad-Bissessa has not been speaking about local government only on the election trail. Long before the election date was even named or postponed, she has been talking about the disparity in funding in local government, the need for equity, the need for other government agencies to deliver through local government bodies, whether they are PNM or UNC led, so that you will have more cohesion, the need for more municipal police, the need for the allocations that are in fact given to be released on time. She has been talking about those things. So we don't only talk local government.
So what changed? Why has she changed?
And she continues to talk now. The clips you may hear and the snippets you will see on TikTok doesn't reflect the entire speech. But every time she speaks, we do post her entire contribution online. And sometimes the contribution might be about 45 minutes to an hour sometimes. So quite a few topics are covered. But it is not only local government and the administration of local government that is covered. But you must tie in the issues of the day to the campaign that is before us. And if we have to talk about the biggest issue being crime, how can local government provide a solution for crime? We have been talking about municipal police being involved in community patrols, being involved in patrolling at schools to reduce school violence, but also to protect schools. We had children hiding under desks when there was a shootout outside their school. How do we get local government bodies involved to deal with the issues that affect people the most, including crime, including people's inability to feed their children? How do we? A campaign must be relevant to the people.
I'm hearing that. So, are you in support of the way the way Mrs. Prasad-Bissessa is bringing over the issue of crime and the proposal to arm more people in this country? Are you in support of that?
I am in support of this of Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground is not only give out guns like if it's sweetie. Stand Your Ground is where you make a decision to defend your home, because many people feel so helpless. They're in a situation and they feel they can't do anything. If you install burglar proof and you install cameras, that is standing your ground because you are defending your home as well. But it also includes allowing citizens who qualify, who meet the requirements to be able to own a gun and get a firearm user license. So that you will have legal guns, because these criminals have access to a lot of illegal guns and citizens are sitting ducks. So it is to level the playing field, and it is not only about giving guns, it is about standing.
That's not a playing field, Miss. I mean, that's a killing field.
Well, you see, if I say killing field, all you will find it is a dread term, but I'm glad you said it, because that is what Trinidad and Tobago has become under this government.
And that is what, and my fear is that it's going to get worse when you propose that you arm people and you fight fire with fire, you light them up, you knock it so, and you to me, that is sending a message.
While I hear criticism of Mrs. Prasad's Besessa's proposal, what I'm not hearing is a solution from the PNM. Or I'm hearing them condemning her, saying, stand your ground. I am not seeing more police on the ground. I am a representative who is on the ground. We have areas where bandits are patrolling in groups of 6 and 8. We have areas where there are people jumping your fence and stealing from your garden hose to your car. And we have every area we have asked for increased patrols. But does the police have the ability to meet those demands? They do not. I am not hearing a solution from the government. So what I want the government to do, instead of criticizing Mrs. Prasad Besessa's by just condemning, let's hear your alternative. Let's hear how you're going to protect. In light of the government being there for the past 8 years and having failed to reduce the murder rate.
I have to run now, but I want to run with this last thing I want to tell you, right? You see, the difference between me and a few other PNM people and most people in the UNC is that we are not afraid to tell our political leader or all our other ministers that they do stupidness and they're wrong. UNC
have you ever told Fitzgerald Hines doing stupidness?
Yeah.
That man continues to be the minister.
Ms. Ameen, listen, hear me out. I am not afraid to criticize my leader, especially on radio, and my colleagues can bear me out. But somehow or the other, the UNC people are afraid. They don't ever tell Kamala Prasad Besessa, "Ma'am, you're wrong. You should not."
How you know that? How you are not in a position to speak to that because you are not within the party and you don't know the discussions and the level of consultation.
You have never done it publicly.
You would not know that. You would not know that. In fact, there are many people who disagree with the UNC publicly. In fact, I find it's too many. There are people who all over the place disagreeing with the UNC and condemning the leader. That is not something new in the UNC. But what I have not seen is, I am wondering, does anybody tell Fitzgerald Hines, tell Rowley to move Fitzgerald Hines?
Dr. Rowley.
Has anybody in the PNM been brave enough to tell Dr. Rowley, move Fitzgerald Hines as the Minister of National Security because he's an embarrassment to the country and he's endangering people's lives?
So you see, you're going down the same road as your leader now. You're making this election about personalities. This is a local government election.
This is, if we are going to talk local elections, we're talking relevant issues with crime and security has to be an issue. The Minister of National Security has to be an issue. After 8 years where the PNM has not gotten crime under control, Fitzgerald Hines is an abject failure. You yourself know this. And you are asking about us in the UNC. Do we share
there is no Minister of National Security who will ever be deemed a successful minister. That has been happening from time immemorial.
It is not about
every single Minister of National Security. Under the People's Partnership, you all changed 5 because you recognize that it's a hard job.
And we also reduced murders.
Well, I that's debatable.
It is anyway, not the TTPS figures. Listen, it's not by a few. The TTPS figures is not UNC say so. It's not UNC numbers. The TTPS figures are the facts. That is the truth. And you can look at the track record of the UNC and look at the track record
But Gary Griffith said the lowest murder rate was under him and he served during the PNM reign.
I would like you to, I know you are a man of research. I know you are a man who likes facts. I would like you to look at the TTPS murder figures, violent crime from 2000 come back. Look at 20 years.
You're saying Gary Griffith is wrong?
I am asking you to go and do the research because the fact is under the UNC, murders were far less than it is under the PNM, and it is a critical issue. It is an issue that is relevant to people, and there is a role for local government to play in making our communities safer. And so this campaign has to be about people and what people require at this time.
I hear you. But you stay working hard, my dear, because come post August 14th, the UNC gonna be calling for somebody lead ahead again. So you stay working hard right there.
But you just tell me nobody in the UNC don't disagree with the leader.
You have my support.
We have no shortage of people.
After this curtail, after this cocktail again here.
I listen.
Right.
I think a woman is talking. You know, my hashtag is Ameen business. I not about talk.
I like
so
it.
On the 14th and the night of the 14th, I'm not even waiting for the 15th. You will see the results. You will.
I'll
see
call you. I'll call
you will
you.
get some surprises, Wendell. But you may
I'll
not be
call you.
surprised because as a person on the ground, you know that people are dissatisfied with the PNL.
All right. Bye-bye, Kadijah.
So we gave you some time to exchange as most people in local government. So, well, you know, to be fair, both of you are experienced in local government, so the exchange was quite interesting. I appreciate the fact that you all are able to disagree respectfully. I always think that's very important. While
like family, you know, don't get tired. She's like family.
Oh, well, you had your chance. Go again on now. Oh God, you had your chance. One put on your corner. We get a whole 20 minutes.
All right, let's get back into it.
Yeah. Kadijah, while I understand your perspective or your party's perspective on stand your ground, you explained it in terms of defending yourself. Do you agree with the statements which the Council for Ethical Political Behavior has said be inside violence, while stand your ground in principle is about protecting your family and yourself? And to be, as I told Wendell last week, it has resonated with quite a significant portion of the society because of the crime situation. Is the language appropriate? Load up the matic, light them up, reload. Is the language productive?
Well, let me tell you, I could give you my opinion. My opinion will be biased. The question is whether, in terms of the views of the public, does this incite the public? The Council for Ethical Behavior in terms of politics will deal with inciting violence against another political party or political opponent. This stand your ground legislation and the words
or people in general, it's not only politicians, or people in general.
This stand your ground legislation targets criminals, not ordinary citizens. The ordinary citizen to stand up. It does not encourage anyone to irresponsibly use a weapon, to attack anyone, or it encourages you to defend your home and your
what does load up your matic mean to you?
I think what happened is that the leader quoted a song. That load up, let me tell you,
but the leader is quoting a song in a public domain. What does load up the matic mean to you?
Light them up means light them up, Paul Richards.
What does load up the matic mean to you, Kadijah?
Load up the matic is a phrase. It is a phrase. It is not to be taken literally. You know, but of course, I mean, there are people who will use that as one thing to condemn. But the truth is that the stand your ground legislation in principle is about citizens defending your home when there is an attack from criminal elements. That is what it is.
And we understand that, and I said so. But when the leader of the opposition, a former prime minister, a person who is aspiring to be prime minister again, uses that phraseology, load up the matic, reload, light them up. Do you think it's responsible language?
Let me tell you, I think Kamla Prasad Bisesa has resonated with a lot of citizens who may not really be UNC per se with this stand your ground legislation. There are some people who may attack the words, but the fact is that the position of defending your home has received widespread support from citizens, even citizens who do not wish to own a gun. They do wish to defend their home, and they wish to do so legally. So whether you want to pick apart her words, she has spoken on numerous platforms on numerous occasions and used different phrases. So whether you want to pick apart her words or not, the fact is that this principle of standing your ground, defending your home, is something that many citizens want. The question, of course, because this is a local government, the election is, how can local government play a role in meeting the concerns of the people at this time? So we have spoken about municipal police doing more patrols in communities, in schools, in the areas surrounding schools, to make children safer, playgrounds, because we had children being gunned down on playgrounds. You know, so how can local government play a role in making the communities safer, which is one of the key issues that people say when they meet you. The issues of local government, in terms of the condition of the road, the neglect, you see the potholes. We have been seeing vehicles going down in potholes these days in Richmond Street in the middle of the capital city. You had a van stick and people had to try to prize them out and so on. Those are typical issues that fall under local government, but we have to be innovative. We have to think about national security and how local government can play a role. We have to think about the economy and how local economic development and the development of culture and sports can play a role in supporting communities and giving people and small and micro enterprises the opportunity to contribute to the economy. We have to be innovative. This is not just about road and box drain. The UNC was called the box drain government. We reduced flooding, thank you, but it is not only about flooding and box drains and paving roads. It is also about creating safer communities, about stimulating the economy and how local economic development must be part of the national agenda in addition to local government issues.
But local government and national government issues sometimes overlap and intertwine because we are a small space. So you can't help but have that kind of overlap from time to time. But I think for a lot of people, and I'm speaking broadly for a lot of Trinidadians and Tobagonians, even when you saw them being interviewed randomly on the street yesterday on one of the news channels about local government, there was a fairly high percentage that were disinterested in voting because they don't think that politicians meet and qualitatively meet and transform in a positive way their needs. A lot of the villages and towns across Trinidad and Tobago kind of look the same for decades.
Yeah.
There has not been any transformation either under the People's Partnership or the People's National Movement in any tangible way that people feel, okay, my quality of life has improved, my surroundings have improved. So people get a little jaded.
Yes, and this is why I say that local government is not just about roads and box drains and so on. It is not just about responding when there's a flood or preventing flooding. It must also be innovative. It must engage with families. It must engage with communities. But right now, local government barely have the resources to pick up the garbage, much less to do all those innovative things. And in fact, many people do not understand the role and the possibilities for local government, and so they would not have much interest. I'm sure if you interview those same people and ask them what is the role of local government, they may not be fully aware of the role. But even as we educate citizens in terms of what the role of regional corporations are, whether they know or not, the fact is we owe a duty to them to perform. And the government has failed to do that. I think the government has been talking local government only when there's an election around. You see 2016, you see 2019, and they're seeing now. And that is the only time they talk about local government. That is the only time they talk about local government reform. And they've been talking for local government reform for decades.
You are the shadow local government person in the UNC. This is a local government election, but in many people's estimation, it's really the launch of the 2025 campaign for the main political party. So let's say all political parties.
I feel so too. Yes, Paul, I feel so too.
So if you were to become a local government minister, what are the main sorts of reforms you would initiate to have the type of tangible change Richard referenced?
Well, first of all, there are systems presently now that do not work, that are supposed to work. So, for instance, what should be a run-of-the-mill administrative things such as the Minister of Finance in the budget allocates an X number of dollars to a regional corporation. First of all, that amount must increase. Secondly, those releases must be given on time. Releases for projects such as development projects, such as construction of bridges, roads, drains, and so on, should happen very early in the financial year to allow contracts to be awarded and for work to take place in the dry season. When the budget is read in September and by October, November, you should have those releases and contracts being awarded so that by January, when you have the dry season, construction can begin. You should not be having corporations make requests for funding and it's being delayed at the Ministry of Local Government or the Ministry of Finance, you tired hear them talking about waiting on releases. You know, this is something that I think is a key element in delivering on time. When I was a chairman of Tunapuna Piako Corporation, that was one of the things, and again, central government ties into local government, because we can make our requests early, but coordinating that in every corporation is the role of the minister. And the principle of central government taking an active role in local government is important in having a smooth governance. So I think one of the urgent things that has to happen is for adequate funding to be allocated and for the funds to be released in a timely manner, and for the projects to be managed along the way so that you will have delivery on time and on budget. People don't want taxpayers' money wasting. We already hardly have money in the country. So to me, the delivery of projects is one thing. You should not have a box drain under construction and hang up for months at a time when, you know, and the inconvenience and so on. The other thing that I think is important in the recovery of the economy, we have faced COVID, we have faced the government closing down Petrotrin and all these other things that has affected our economy. Local economic development is important. How do we get small and micro enterprises to be able to give them that support?
What should be the role of the regional bodies in that endeavor?
The regional corporations at this time, what I see them doing is attacking illegal vending. And while I don't condone breaking the law, we have to be reasonable. So where you have organic vending areas, let's regulate them instead of sending the police to get rid of them. Where we have things that are organic to the area, such as the crab vendors at Caroni Roundabout, the doubles at Davie. You have food being sold at Eddie Hart in the area of Eddie Hart because you have so many recreation grounds. Once you have sporting and cultural activities, you will have small vendors coming forward. And you must provide the facilities, which would include public health, running water, garbage collection, and sanitation. And you must do it in an unregulated environment. Make sure people have their food badges and so on, right? So stimulating the economy through local economic development. Where you have local tourism, you also have opportunities for small and micro enterprises. So it may not be around food where we typically think of doubles and corn soup and so on, but it may be when you visit the mud volcano, you would want a souvenir to say, I was at the mud volcano, as you would get when you go to any international tourist site. So how do we get our craftsmen involved in a way that it will make sense to them, not just to display their craft, but to earn a living? And we have so many talented people. We also should have for local tourism in our tour guides. Our tour guides, while they fall under the Ministry of Local Government, have to be engaged in all these areas so that you or any citizen could say, you know what, today is Sunday, I want to take a drive and go down by Nolly's Tunnel. What are you going to do at Nolly's Tunnel? What are you going to do at the mud oven, the dirt oven place? What are you going to do when you visit there? You know, so anybody in Trinidad should be able to say, let me take a drive to one of those places because it is safe, because it is convenient, because the roads to get there are well lit and in good condition. And even now, you see how poor road conditions affect local tourism, how poor road conditions affect the economy, because you're not going to open a business in an area where people don't want to come because the road is so bad. You know, so all of these are ways that local government can support the economic recovery of the country. Having good road conditions means accessibility for goods and services to come in and for people to visit and for your area to be transformed. How do you get young people to decide to become an entrepreneur? There are people who take initiative and sell water on the highway. Illegal as it is, they're not selling drugs, they're not selling guns. They are trying to make an honest dollar. But how do we provide the environment for them to do that?
But you know, I think it's in part a national conversation. I think it all starts with planning.
Yes.
And it starts with planning on a very fundamental level. I do not know that villages and towns and cities across Trinidad and Tobago have comprehensive 5-year plans or 10-year plans, or let's say short-term, mid-term, and long-term plans about how this particular space is going to look.
Yes.
What are the plans? Because when you go to towns and villages abroad, obviously there is a plan in how that town or village looks.
Yes.
Even from the city center, obviously the planning, the vision is involved in the look of the city and town. Trinidad doesn't seem, on the face of it, to have that kind of intellectual focus on how do we plan our villages and towns.
Yes.
And because Cedros will have a particular plan as a seaside village, as does Icarcus. I talked to them. I went down to Icarcus and Cedros. Beautiful areas, lots of potential where you could stand up on the CNC Venezuela across, but the tourism or internal tourism happens despite the fact that the sign that says Icarcus and Cedros is blackened and is basically illegible. The roads need issues. You go onto the shoreline to watch it, you know, it's not managed, but still there is a certain amount of local tourism happening in spite of the obstacles that local government does not address.
Yes.
And I think that's what frustrates Trinidadians and Tobagonians. We know Trinidad and Tobago has tourist possibilities, local tourism possibilities, is very beautiful in certain areas, but it seems like only the citizens know that and not local government and national government on any level.
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, all of the issues you identified there, the signage falls under local government, road signs to tourist sites, the conditions of the roads, all of those things are local government responsibilities and regional corporations. Regional corporations are in a situation where sometimes they don't even have money to put diesel in their vehicles to just do basic administrative things. So again, here it is a failure of the government, of central government, to provide the adequate funding, but also the policy directives to ensure that those things happen. So when people are at risk of losing their jobs because the government did not give sufficient funding to pay each employee till the end of the financial year, you understand that your concern now becomes saving a job rather than going out there and being, you know, productive and innovative and so on. So I do agree with that. Now, it is interesting that you mentioned the plans, because in 2010, in 2003, I became a councillor and I served until 2010 because they postponed the elections. During that time, Kyrie Consultants was hired by the government to do regional development plans for every corporation. And when the UN, that was completed in 2009 or 2010, somewhere close to the change in government. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa adopted those regional development plans and agreed to work with them. And those plans were supposed to be updated, because you'll appreciate that was in 2010, more than a decade ago. And those plans are supposed to be updated. And of course, it must tie into the national plan. So whether it is a manifesto that becomes government policy or a policy that is initiated while you are in government, any government who is serious about local development must include principles in their government's development that would latch on to local development. So do you want to provide jobs in these areas? How can that as a national objective tie in? How can we use the natural resources of Cedros to create jobs? How can we have along the East-West corridor manufacturing and so on? What do we want to manufacture at a national level? So for instance, if we are looking at having, I would just want to choose an area that is not typically associated with local government. So let me choose health, right? If we want to improve the public health system in Trinidad and Tobago, we need more nurses, we need more doctors, you need more what you call allied health professions.
Services.
So you have the nursing academy in El Dorado. which has nursing and allied health, so other professions within the public health system, to provide more nurses to the hospitals. But can we manufacture things like masks and gloves and other things that we could use in the hospitals? We can do that. And if you have zones where you can do that, let's say along the East-West corridor, you can have nurses being properly educated to have a better service in the hospitals. You can have people being employed to in the manufacturing industry to make those things in the hospitals that we usually import. If we look at Sandy Grande and we look at fishing and agriculture, how do we, at a national level, boost agriculture in a way that the people in the region of Sandy Grande can benefit and can access their crops, access their lands, have markets? So at the national level, while at the local level, we'll talk about the farmers, do we get manufacturing involved to process foods so that you will not have wastage and spoilage and tons of stuff thrown away? You can manufacture by canning and so on, and exporting, or by selling it on the shelves in local supermarkets. So how do we get agriculture and local government tying in? How
So you're talking about a more integrated approach to local government with other sectors so that the communities are benefit and develop. I want to switch gears a bit. This is a very interesting local government election for Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's one that's seen a lot of heightened interest. I have never seen so many smaller parties vying for districts. The UNC has changed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, strategy a bit. Whereas in the past, the UNC has gone it alone at the local government level. In this election, the UNC has teamed up with the NTA in particular districts. And also, the Jack Warner factor has been brought back into the fray. From your perspective, two-part question. One, given the political leaders' musings years ago indicating 8 o'clock is fine, musings about Jack Warner should clear his name and then come back to the fold. What has changed to reverse that? And part two is because of Jack Warner's polarizing effect sometimes, I'm using that word generously, has Jack Warner's addition to the campaign helped or hurt the campaign in your opinion? So the first part question is how does the party reconcile?
I am on the East-West corridor.
And then come back.
I am on the East-West corridor, and I can tell you people have positively received the news that Jack Warner is working with the UNC. A lot of people remember the performance of government ministers who served under the UNC, and it has become part of their reputation, but it really has to do with the leadership of Kamla Persad-Bissessar in her government. Jack Warner, at the time of his separation from the UNC, said a lot of things that were hurtful to the UNC. And he also indicated publicly that he regrets making those statements, regrets making those accusations and allegations. And this is water more than flour now, where we are seeing the country go down a spiral and we have to recover from it. We have to pull ourselves from it. So he, as an individual, has given his commitment to work with the UNC and to work in general in the public domain to ensure that we have a return to safety and security, a return to delivery of services and so on under a UNC government. So
isn't that just double speak for the opportunism of politics that you're trying to
well, I'm giving you what I get as the feedback from people on the East-West corridor where I have campaigned and where my constituency is. And
my question from the UNC perspective, the leader has said, Mr. Warner, you have issues to answer. Clear your name and then come back. What has changed?
How many years have passed since that, Paul? I mean, how many years have passed?
The statement was clear your name and then come back. Has he cleared his name?
The question is, because if we have issues with legal issues and charges and so on, those things should proceed as a matter of course. Those things should not be subject to political negotiation. Though if you are in government, you should not persecute Jack Warner or any individual if they oppose your government you should not drop the charges or drop your hand if they are in support of your government. So the bigger picture really is for the government and the institutions of justice to answer whether, if there is an issue to be pursued against Mr. Warner or any person, has that issue been pursued? And have you delayed the pursuing that issue because Mr. Warner was speaking in your political interest at the time? Or and do you intend to now resume prosecution against him because he is now on the UNC campaign?
But the government doesn't prosecute. That's a function of the judiciary ultimately in terms of that case working its way through.
Yes, and of course things like extradition and so on require the minister's input.
Yeah, but ultimately the judiciary is the one.
But the thing is, we have seen numerous instances where cases against, the Malcolm Jones is a classic, cases against political friends of the UNC, political friends of the government, the PNM, have been dropped. And you see instances where political opponents of the PNM have been targeted. So I'm saying that if there's an issue against any individual, whether it's Jack Warner or who, it should be treated fairly, whether that person is a political opponent of the government or a friend of the UNC or a friend of the PNM. It should not be different rules for different people. It should be same strokes for every person. Yeah.
Well, I agree with I agree with that.
Can you share with me some calls, because we have people lining up to ask you questions.
Yes,
I know you have to leave at 8 o'clock, and we really appreciate your time this morning. So
our phone lines are open. Steve this morning.
Yeah.
Right here.
I wanted to bring up the issue of, because you while we're waiting for calls to come in, you brought up the issue of financing of local government and that being an issue coming out from the national government. Of course, part of the reform package and connected to the reform package is the issue of property taxes for each area, which under the reform would actually be allocated, at least residential taxes.
Collected by and allocated to the particular body.
Yeah. What's the UNC's position on that? Because I know they have been anti-property tax at points. What's your position on that? Is there a position?
Yeah. No. The thing is, I don't feel that now is the time for property tax. But I also question the government's intention. They have indicated that residential taxes will go to the regional corporation, and commercial and industrial taxes will go to central government. In many areas, you have industrial estates. So let's take Couva Regional Corporation. You have industrial estates there. The taxes from that area will not benefit the regional corporation. What you will also have, because in different corporation, you have a difference in density, the number of people who live within that region. You also have a difference in terms of the value of homes. So let's take Sandy Grande region. Sandy Grande has been determined by the CSO as one of the areas with the lowest income per capita. So they are the poorest region. People there are the poorest in the country per capita. The value of the house, many people there live in shacks. The value of the property tax from residential will be significantly lower than areas like Diego Martin region or even Tunapuna Piako, where you have high concentrations of residential property. It means that regional corporations will have a huge difference in how much they get. Now, you also will recognize that those with the lowest property values and those with the lowest income from residential taxes may also have the greater need to develop their region because of the state it is in. Think of the road to go to Matlot. Think of the communities where you have agricultural access, roads failing, bridges falling down, and so on. So let us compare that to areas where you have higher value properties, and they may just want the park benches repainted. You know, they may have less in terms of requirements for development, less costs, and so on. So you must have a system that is fair to support development of all regions based on their need. As a chairman of Tunapuna Corporation, the commercial hubs are concerned to regional corporation. We had something called the Clean Cura project, which was an ongoing project to ensure that you had garbage collection every day, and in some cases twice a day. You had maintenance of the roadway and so on from a public health perspective, collecting garbage, the installation of bins and stuff. And even on special days such as Carnival and so on, the town centers need special care. In those areas, the commercial taxes do not go to the regional corporation to support increased maintenance, the costs associated with that. So do I get better service if I am within a region, and because my property is commercial property, the money does not go to the regional corporation? It does not. So you must put a system that is fair. And my concern is that we are widening the gap as well when we decide for only residential to go. But then there must be a solution. The government has to present that to us to say, what is the alternative to fix that fault, to fix that issue? And I've not heard from them. I'm willing to hear, I'm willing to listen. But I feel that now is not the time to bring in the property tax. We have to put things in place to improve the economy, improve the income per capita a bit first, to support small and medium micro businesses in particular, so that, because even a parlor will be presented as a commercial property, you see. So even in areas outside of the commercial centers, you will have people who will have to pay commercial tax. I'm also concerned about the issue of squatting, because squatter regularization is something that the UNC has always been in favor of. And in fact, the Pandey government brought the Squatter Regularization Act, and Kamala Prasad-Bissasa's administration updated that act. We don't see squatter regularization happening now. We don't see
I think we have a call, don't we, Steve?
Yeah, we do. I just wanted to finish the point. And the thing is, squatters will still have to pay property tax, and that does not give them a right to the property that they are paying taxes for. So that is a serious concern as well. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, caller. Thanks for holding.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning to the MP, Ms. Ameen.
Good morning.
I'll try to be as concise as possible. 2 questions.
Well, yeah, because we have 3 minutes and she has to leave at 8 o'clock.
All right. I will try to be as short as possible. Well, the first question deals with your stand your ground policy. Now, knowing very well that needs approval within Parliament and most likely a special majority, would you agree with me or differ from my inference that is just spurring fears of the population, when you know very well that is not something quite feasible at this point and has no relations to local government? And the second question I would like to ask you is why it is that, if it is that you are speaking about local government reform, why it is that the policy was taken by your party not to have consultation, instruction for no one to participate, if it's in better interest of the population, right? Thank you.
All right. Well, first of all, that last statement there, that is incorrect. The caller may have been misinformed. The UNC participated in the consultations. The consultations were very limited. I personally attended 10 out of the 14 consultations throughout the country. I went to different parts of the country and listened to what people said during their consultations. Frankie Khan was the minister at the time. In Parliament, during the Joint Select Committee, I sat on the Joint Select Committee as a member of the Senate. It was saved, and then I continued when I became a member of Parliament. We had other members of the opposition who participated fully in those consultations in the Joint Select Committee. There were things that we objected to strongly. We provided a minority report, and that was also laid in Parliament. So we did participate, and we continue to participate and represent citizens. That is how we participate. But we also attended all the consultations. All of our councillors, or UNC councillors, facilitated and participated and gave their views. They brought people to have their say. They advertised it, So that is one I want to put on the record, that the UNC participated. The local government reform became law, but the fact is we have had the government do absolutely nothing. in terms of making it a reality. So you have law, it was passed in Parliament. Since it was passed, the only portion of local government reform that was the Local Government Act that was proclaimed is the part to make for the term of councillors from 3 years to 4 years. And the objective was not to improve local government, but to postpone the election. There has been no other section of the Local Government Reform Act that has been proclaimed to bring meaningful improvement to the regional corporations, and that is an indictment on the government. So when they go on a platform and talk about reform and reform, nothing prevents the government right now from doing reform, because it has been passed in Parliament and it is law, and it is for them to decide to put a schedule in place for proclamation, for them to put things in place administratively in the regional corporation to support the new measures, and they have not done that.
Kadijah, thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time, as usual.
Yes.
I really appreciate being with you guys. I want to wish you all the best. I will be on the road every day for the next week. I think the UNC will surprise people in some of the regions.
Quickly, what do you think of the battleground areas? I know Sandy Grande is said to be one. What are the other ones you think?
Sandy Grande is considered marginal, but I firmly believe Sandy Grande will come home for the UNC. San Fernando is considered a battleground now because there are at least 3 very marginal seats in San Fernando City that could change hands. One, the PNM won by 30 votes, another one they won by 80-something votes, and that could very well change hands. In Tunapuna region, interestingly, we have several seats there that are very close now. So even Tunapuna, that is considered a fortress of the PNM, they are losing ground. And we have seen that. I have personally seen that because I've been in that area working with people campaigning over several elections. So look out for surprises in, Sandy Grande, as I don't expect there to be any surprise. I expect it will come home for the UNC again. We had that corporation move from being PNM for us winning 4 and 4 each, and then moving to where the UNC won 5, and the PNM had 3. So we may win more seats in Sandy Grande region.
Well, by this time next week, we will all know.
Yes. So I really look forward to the results, having been there on the ground with our candidates. We have fantastic candidates. Some of them are general election material. Some of them are really good, but they are very community oriented and people oriented. And I think people have seen the level of the quality of their potential representatives, and they have responded well. They're also fed up with the PNM, So I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share with you this morning.
Thank you a lot, Kadijah. Have a good day.
Thank you, Kadijah.
You all have a great day. Tomorrow, where we will have a Minister come in as our guest at 7 at 10 right here on Power Digital. Have a great day. You should tune in. Give him a call. Have a great day.
Have a fantastic day, people, whatever you do. And of course, reminding you, theaters on in San Fernando this weekend. What you're looking at Miss 04 is on at Sapa for one night only on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. at Sapa. Of course, tickets available at K Squared Fashion C3 and at Gulf City, Friends of Marabella by the Roundabout, and Creme Fresh at Brentwood Mall in Chaguanas. And of course, the box office at Sapa opens tomorrow from 12 noon to 6.